right, good evening and welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting for the City of Smyrna. Today is Monday, April 8th, 2019 at 6 p.m. and this meeting's called to order. At this time, I'd like to ask that all electronic devices be turned off as it interferes with our recording equipment. For those of you joining us for the first time, this meeting is conducted much like in council meeting. As such, each application will include a presentation from city staff, followed by a question and answer session between staff and the board. Following staff's presentation, we'll have the applicant present their case and answer any questions. Once all the questions have been satisfied, we'll have an opportunity for anyone in attendance that would like to come forward and speak in favor of or opposition to the application. Please sign the sign-in sheet at the podium and direct all your comments to the board. The first item on our agenda is item 2019-90. This is zoning application Z19003. This item is to be tabled to the May 13th Planning and Zoning meeting at the request of the applicant. Can I get a motion to table this item, please? We have a motion, Mr. Seagraves, a second, Mr. Monroe. Please vote to table. And the item is tabled 5-0. All right. The next item on the agenda is 2019-133. This is zoning request Z19-088, rezoning from GC to RHR and PD for the development of 80 senior housing units at a density of 25.72 units per acre. This is 3.11 acres in land lot 606, the East-West Connector and Camp Highland Road. One Street Development LLC is the applicant. Mr. Martin, the background, please.
Yes, you guys will hear this case tonight. Make a recommendation to mayor and council. They will hear it and make a final decision on May 20th. This property is located on East-West Connector, just west of the Camp Highland Road intersection. It is approximately 3 acres in size. It is a wooded lot with no structures on it at this time. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property from general commercial to residential high-rise planned development, and they're proposing an 80-unit independent senior housing development. Those units will be rental units. The city's future land use map calls this property medium density residential, which is up to 6 units per acre. The rezoning will require a future land use change to high density residential, which is densities above 10 units per acre. If you look at the surrounding properties, the properties to the west and the east and south have a medium density residential zoning class or future land use designation, and then the property to the north is the Silver Comet Trail, and that is located in unincorporated Cobb County, and it has a Parks and Recreation future land use designation in the county. This is the proposed site plan, and I'll walk you through the site to orient you towards all the different aspects. The first building along East-West Connector that fronts on East-West Connector is a 4-story building with 50 units. The second building is along the western property line, and it is a 3-story building with 30 units. The applicant is proposing the following setbacks for the property: a front setback of 25 feet along East-West Connector, a side setback of 25 feet, which is along that western boundary, and then a rear setback of 40. There is one right-in, right-out entrance on east-west connector. There's a deceleration lane and small acceleration lane uh, located at that entrance. There is an amenity area with a small community garden. This is the location of the proposed underground stormwater detention areas. There is a stream buffer that runs through the eastern portion of the property. As currently designed, there is no proposed encroachment into that stream buffer, so they'll maintain the city's minimum standards. Also, there is a gas line easement that runs along the north side of the property, and it's pictured here. And then the applicant is proposing a sidewalk connection to the Silver Comet Trail to the north. And that's that location. With this request, there are 3 variances from the zoning ordinance. The first deals with the setback reduction from 75 feet to 25 feet along east-west connector, and then a side setback reduction from 40 feet down to 25 feet along the western boundary. And then for high-rise developments in the planned development section, high-rise developments require building heights between 4 and 12 stories. With the second building being a 3-story building, we have to give a variance to reduce that minimum building height from 4 stories down to 3. Here's an example of the buildings that the developer builds. And here's an example of another project they've created. This is going to be similar architecture to what they're going to be constructing on site. Some more pictures. This is the subject property as it stands today. And then your adjoining properties. The picture in the left-hand corner at the top is across the east-west connector, the new townhome development over there. And then the top right is the townhome development that is on Camp Highland Road. And then the bottom picture is the townhome development to the west on east-west connector. Community Development recommends approval of the rezoning from general commercial to RHR plan development with the following conditions. Standard conditions from section 1201 except for 2, 3, 4, 10, 12, 16, and 17. The standard condition number 1 deals with the facade materials. Number 2 deals with the screening of the detention ponds and the requirement for the stormwater management. 3 requires all utilities to be underground. 4 requires the developer to be responsible for any traffic improvements deemed necessary by the city engineer or the county during plan review. 5 is the requirement for the deceleration lane. 6 is the requirement for brick pavers or stamped concrete at the entrance. 7 prohibits the burying of debris on site. 8 is the requirement to follow the city's tree ordinance. 9 requires the landscape plans be done by a registered design professional, landscape architect or arborist. 10 requires all common areas to be sodded and landscaped. Special conditions in addition to the standard conditions. Number 11 provides the front setbacks. We've already gone over those. 12, the developer is responsible for any fire access requirements deemed necessary by the fire marshal. 13, any water and sewer improvements deemed necessary by the public works director. And 14 is any stormwater improvements deemed necessary by the city engineer. 15 is a requirement for a 10-foot landscape buffer along the western property line. 16 is the requirement for the applicant to seek approval of a sidewalk connection to the Silver Comet through Cobb County. 17 is a requirement to have a 3-sided brick enclosure for the dumpster facility. 18 is lighting requirements for the site, and 19 ties the approval of the zoning to the site plan, and 20 ties the zoning of the property to the building elevations. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Any questions for Mr. Martin? Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward, tell us a little bit about your plan. Mr. Moore, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Kevin Moore here on behalf of the applicant and owners in this application for rezoning. As usual, Mr. Martin did an excellent job overviewing the proposal and the application and highlighting several items. I want to talk to you a little bit more about this project. It is just over a 3-acre site. It's proposed by One Street Development. One Street does a fantastic job and has done for a long time of building age-restricted homes, communities in and around metropolitan Atlanta, and is proposing one of their excellent communities here. Their age-restricted housing and communities, in this instance, is proposed for an age restriction of 62 years of age and older. Normally you hear of age restrictions as 55 years of age and older. They are proposing, and it would be a condition of 62 years of age and older, that under the Fair Housing Act you can discriminate under the Fair Housing Act only if you do so in accordance with their rules. You can do so at different levels. One level is at 55 and the next level up is 62. But it also tells you a little bit about the commitment to providing this level of senior age-restricted community. It is a community, as you can see from the elevations and photos. Those are of an existing One Street community that you can see the level of detail and the quality of what they provide and what they build and what they develop, and that's exactly what they'll be doing here. Their product line or brand, so to speak, is called Hearthside, which is reflected in those photographs, and that's what they would plan to build here. It's very specifically detailed so that it is attractive and appeals to the exact age group that they are seeking, that is seniors above the age of 62. In this instance, most of the residents would be older than 62. Most of them are single and very much do not rely solely on their automobile for transportation. As part of what One Street does, there's various types of transportation that they arrange in groups and shuttles and so forth throughout their communities, and would be doing so here. Oftentimes, communities such as this, when you see residential high-rise and you see things like high-density residential, immediately you think of traffic and traffic impact. Especially when you have an age restriction of 62 years of age and older, the traffic impact of this project will be extremely low, especially in comparison to any other possible use here. It's just a couple of things that drive that statistically from a traffic impact standpoint. Statistically, the residents here will have been retired. They've made a choice to live in a senior-oriented community such as this, an age-restricted community such as this, and they're making that choice for themselves as a lifestyle choice for them to be in that type of community. It's one in which they don't need to drive, and if they do drive, they're driving on the off-peak times as a whole. Certainly there could be people who will leave, but not all 100% of the people that live in this community will leave at the exact same time in the AM and arrive back in the PM like you see during peak hours for other types of projects, nor will you see a massive traffic appearing or exiting or coming into this property if it was developed under its current zoning as GC, when you would have constant traffic in and out depending on the level of commercial activity that was going on. Rather, the traffic is spread out, it's not as much, and it's not nearly as impactful on the surrounding road systems. In addition, as you can see from the surrounding area that Mr. Martin described, The area is really dominated by townhome communities from a residential standpoint. It's also dominated in this area up and down the east-west connector by other office and retail uses, especially when you look at this particular property and the surrounding townhome residential uses. Having this piece currently zoned general commercial, we actually think this is a far better use for the property than a commercial use might be in terms of impact on the adjacent neighbors, especially given that this type of use is quiet. The residents here enjoy being together, enjoy their activities, but it is not nearly the intensity of what would be a commercial use, and we believe it actually provides for a much more consistent, compatible use than is currently zoned. In addition, it's also important to note that as part of what they provide, it's not simply senior apartments, which we hear from time to time. It's actually senior living in a community. Yes, they're leased, but that again is an option. It's a lifestyle choice for them, but it's also one that's done with quality of amenities. As Mr. Martin pointed out, there's community gardens that are very enjoyed quite a bunch by the residents. There's fitness rooms, activity rooms, media rooms, community rooms, and other types of rooms such as that provide a full range of activities and amenities for the residents to enjoy. They have organized trips and do all types of activities outside as well of the property as part of organized activities. So again, it's an entire community geared towards that age group and towards age 62 years of age and older, of which we are an aging population and one in which we should be looking to provide for housing options, housing communities that meet that demand that grows each and every day. And to that, I think it's important, and I think the staff did a wonderful job in the report of highlighting how Smyrna's comprehensive plan also looks specifically to how can we promote that, where can we have that, where can we provide that in terms of senior housing opportunities, which, as staff correctly pointed out, this proposal hits and checks the boxes on many, if not all, of those components for providing senior housing opportunities in communities that are well done and well done appropriately. In this instance, again, One Street Residential Development is a company that knows what they're doing. They have done it successfully over and over again and look to do it successfully here. We think we've prepared an excellent site plan. The variances that are noted by staff are needed because of the triangle shape of the property and the easements, and the easement in the rear and the buffer on the which you're looking at the right side of the property here constrains the development to one portion of the property, but those variances certainly are not ones that have any impact or substantial impact to the surrounding properties and are well needed here. With that, we'd respectfully request your recommendation of approval to the mayor and council. Both myself, Brendan Barr, are here, representative of One Street Development, and we can answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. We got any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Monty.
What's the size of the proposed units, bedrooms, and square footage, and what's the price point for those?
Sure. I can give you the minimum size of units are 725 square feet, which is one bedroom. Like I said, most of these future residents would be single, not couple. As far as price points, that one, yeah, let me ask Mr. Barr because I'm not familiar with the lease rates.
Very good. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Brendan Barr with One Street Development. Thank you for your time. One bedroom's approximately 725 square feet. Two bedroom, two baths go up to about 1,015 square feet. Primarily single person households. The rental rates will start at approximately $730 and could go up to, we've got some 2-2s in Tucker that are $1,900. So it's kind of what the market will bear. Yeah.
Any other questions? Interested. You got my interest peaked. You said that they do planned events for the community and that kind of thing. What kind of staffing does a facility like this have?
when you get to some of the more detailed operational questions, I'd rather let him speak to that.
Absolutely,
So
for sure.
Right, thank you. To give you some context, One Street, I'm on the development side. We also have our own management company. So when we talk about property management services, we're still talking about our company. So to answer your question, we would have a full-time property manager, and then we would have a full-time leasing consultant slash activities director. And the reason for the slash is it takes us about 8 to 10 months to lease up and fully occupy one of our properties. And from there, they remain 99 to 100% throughout. And it's rare that we get a vacancy. It really is promoted by the health needs of our resident if they need to go more of an independent living or assisted living. And oftentimes we'll have a wait list. So once we're full, we stay full. So we don't really need an ongoing leasing director. So that person will slide into activities because, as Kevin pointed out, we're really promoting lifestyle. So a lot of our amenities are geared towards social interaction and socialization. So we'll have someone that's promoting those types of events, not only on site, but in the broader community. We do fitness classes, and we bring in a local proprietor, a Tai Chi instructor, a Pilates instructor, and he or she will do a couple classes a week for our residents. And then we have an on-site maintenance technician. So this is maintenance-free living. So even though you've signed a lease versus a mortgage, your toilet leaks, you call us. You need help getting something, you need help getting packages out of your car coming from Publix. We've got staff on site to assist in that.
Very cool. How many developments have you guys done to this point?
Under the Hearthside brand, we're going to open our 7th Hearthside in downtown Fayetteville next month. We're also in Town Lake, Woodstock, Brookhaven, Tucker, Duluth, Johns Creek, Peachtree City. So we really focus on the suburban submarkets of Atlanta because that's where our residents, adult children and grandchildren reside, and they want to be nearby but not living in their spare bedroom. Yeah. And then we have a second brand that we've got. We just started construction on one. It's called Main Street in Monroe, and that's our 4th. So that gives you, we have over 1,400 senior living units currently in operation in suburban Atlanta. And then we also manage another 500 for other owners as well. Our management company does.
What will the dining options be for the?
So we don't do meals. So our whole niche in the market is basically age-restricted apartments. All of our residents, they have full kitchens. They don't need meals. They don't need any kind of care. They just prefer a lease versus a mortgage for the flexibility in their life.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we would like to ask if there's anyone in attendance that would like to come forward and speak in favor of or opposition to this application. Please come one at a time. Okay. All right. Let the record show that there's no public comment. Any further discussion? Any other questions for the applicant or staff? All right. In the absence of further discussion, I'd like to ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, Z19-008 to include staff recommendations at this time.
We got a motion for approval, Mr. Monroe. We have a second. Do we have a second? Mr. Seagraves? Please vote. The application is approved 5-0. Gentlemen, good luck. Mr. Moore, always a pleasure to see you. Yes, sir. Good luck with your project. I think that's going to be a fantastic location for this type of facility. Really do. Yeah. Based on the numbers he quoted, I don't believe luck is something that he needs a lot of. I'm sorry. That's awesome. All right, the last item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 11th, 2019 meeting. Are the board members in possession of the minutes? Are there any changes that we need to make at this time? We have a motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Rice. We have a second, Ms. Lightfoot. Please vote to approve the minutes. And the minutes are approved 5-0. Mr. Sudreth, anything further? Mr. Martin, anybody? All right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Is there someone in attendance that would like to come forward and introduce himself? Come forward before I gavel this thing. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Drew Ehrig, and I'm currently the owner of a catering business that is located in Atlanta, Georgia. Very interested in possibly doing business in the city of Smyrna, and have a specific property in mind, and just wanted to briefly speak about possible intentions and how the board might feel about those intentions at this specific address and location.
Okay.
Would that be appropriate?
Yes.
That's correct. I understand. Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to go over your head, Mr. Sudreth. My understanding of the process is that I've emailed Mr. Sudreth and Joey Stobbs for about the last 7 days now, and have had communications about my intention. My understanding is that you would decide what the appropriate zoning for the use would be, and then it would be my job to request a zoning change in zoning, which would be the decision of the board. Is that correct? Yeah, so, the reason that I'm here today as a surprise is that I'm currently in the process of purchasing this building, and within a 60-day exploratory period where I only have another 3.5 weeks to walk away if I end up walking away, and that's the only reason that I'm here, and I don't want to seem like I'm trying to rush any process or disrespect the city in any way.
Yeah, the only challenge is there is a process and a legal process that we have to go through before we can really even hear the information.
Right.
It's not fair to the rest of the public, for
Sure.
that matter. So I would suggest going to your meeting with Mr. Sudreth, and these guys will tell you what all you need to do to get before us in the correct manner.
Sure. Would it be possible to speak in front of the council next week?
I would highly suggest you going through the process with staff so
Yes.
that everybody is informed in a proper manner. I understand you're under a timeline, but that's...
Yeah, and I'm not trying to supersede any process. I was just trying to have a moment to speak about what my intended use was, and to see, how the council felt about it, and if it would be a hard no or a possibility, I guess, is what
I would suggest going to your meeting with staff.
Yeah.
And reaching out to whoever the council member is in the ward, and going that way versus coming into a public hearing where we don't have the information.
Sure.
And we're not even really prepared to be able to communicate with you about it.
Understood.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
And what was your last name?
It's Ehrig, it's IHRIG.
What kind of catering business is it?
We're a full-service catering company, been in business for just over 16 years. Also within the same building, I have a full-service restaurant with an alcohol license that I've operated for over 5 years now. What I'm trying to accomplish is, I've been in business for so long and I've been leasing this whole time, is that I'm really trying to find a forever home for my company, and a place that I don't have to worry about a landlord taking away from me.
Yeah. Well, Smyrna's a fantastic place, and hopefully you can make it your home. We have the best staff in all of Georgia. They'll get you where you need to be,
Appreciate
so
that.
that you can get back here in front of us and have a proper discussion and public hearing about it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, and I'm sorry for the surprise. I appreciate your time, and I do look forward to our meeting on Thursday, and appreciate your availability as well. Thank you so much. guys
Thank
have a
you, Mr.
wonderful
Eric.
evening.
Good luck with
Thank
your
you, Ms.
plan.
Monahan.
All right. Any other further discussion? We're going to call this meeting at 6:30 and 37.
Good.